happy Sunday morning, and hopefully you have woken up feeling rested and beautiful.
Fresh. Sunday morning. We're just trying to break the internet continuum. I'm trying to share the live on my...
We're going to see if this is possible. This is the lovely Anna. I'm going to do a proper intro in a moment.
Hey! Here we go. Let's try share. Can we share? Oh, it looks like we can do it, humans. Okay, yes.
Awesome. Okay, so Kirsty, can you hear us okay? That's my beautiful girlfriend, Kirsty. She's tuning in.
Hey, gorgeous Kirsty.
Yeah, hopefully you've had a really gorgeous weekend so far. Good morning, darling. And this is going to be the start of a beautiful Sunday for you. Yeah. If you haven't got a cup of tea, do it now.
Green tea
quickly.
Or coffee.
Yeah.
I'm a latte with one kind of girl, fat milk.
Fat milk all the way.
The best story while we're just loading everything. I've got it. Okay.
Yay.
Is I was in Bondi, love Bondi, and I went to this cafe and I said, yeah, can I just have a latte with one? And she said, yeah, like skinny milk, fat milk. And I was like, oh no, she didn't say fat. She goes skinny, soy,
almond.
And I was like, just regular old fat milk, please. And then I was like, and then I want a banana bread, and I said, can I have some banana bread? And she goes, yeah, like vegan. I say vegan. She was like, vegan or normal? I was like, just normal, please. And then I was like, do you have butter? And she was like, oh, nut butter. And I was like, just normal butter. I just want a fat latte with a banana bread. Anyway, that's me. So grab a fat milk latte or a cup of green tea, whatever pickles you pickle.
Anna has just been in Adelaide for a couple of days.
Yes.
What are you thinking of the city so far?
So we're just talking about this off screen. I love it. I'm just looking out the window at the moment. It's beautiful. I look at Adelaide like Perth, very similar to Perth, but in that regard, it's just a big country town.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful. I said your people are beautiful.
Yeah.
The city's beautiful. The beaches are beautiful. Yeah. It's all beautiful.
Yeah, I think there's a really lovely sense of community, which we kind of want to find wherever we are, and I think we really can do that. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Finding your people.
We love Adelaide. We're about to go do a really serious team building exercise today, which is drinking wine in the Adelaide Hills. So, yeah, excited.
And it's going to be great. It looks like a beautiful day for it as well.
You're going to get rain later though, Adelaide. We've looked the weather up. So bring your washing in. Yeah, just so you know. 80% chance of rain this afternoon.
Interview / weather forecast.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bring your what's it called? Clothes in. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I might just let you know a little bit about Anna, just from my perspective, actually. So, I have shared this story with a couple of you. When I first started on my personal development journey, Anna was one of the first people that I saw speak on the stage. So that was Celebrations 2013.
Wow. No, 14.
14. And I was really blown away by this young woman, and I started following you on Facebook, and I felt like I was part of your journey.
You are. You all are.
and the things that I could see you setting your mind to and then going and doing them really stuck with me. So I had the chance to attend a workshop, a really huge, phenomenal personal development training workshop. Went for 5 days in 2015. This is David Wood and Lisa Nichols. Oh. And Anna presented a 20-minute a TED-style talk. And God, it was vulnerable and so beautiful. Thank you. That's the thing that really hits me in the heart about Anna, because she's so real. So anyway, I somehow got the guts to run up to her after she had delivered her gorgeous speech. And it was like in the dark. You were running down the side. Like someone else was presenting. You were like probably trying to go to the toilet or something. And I ran up and I said to her, oh my God, that was so beautiful. Thank you. I normally don't have the courage to speak to people like you. And Anna just turned to me, looked me straight in the eye. She said, you are people like me.
Yeah.
You know, and that meant so much to me, because when you see someone on the stage, you know, you think there's that easy to do that comparison thing.
Yeah. Which never do.
Yeah, don't do that.
I always say all of our poo smells the same. Like, it just does. Like, it's just, next time you go to idolize someone, be like, you know what? We all smell when we fart. Like, We all bicker with our partners. Like,
we're all the same, and that's what makes it possible for us to live a life that we really want to, because when we connect on that really truthful level, it's like, oh yeah, you have the same struggles as me, I have the same struggles as you, we can all do this together, we can rise together.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of, you know, one of the reasons I'm really drawn to Anna as a speaker and as a personal development kind of icon to me. It's really, really big deal to me to be here with you.
Thank you.
And I think one other thing is we know how hard you work by watching you. So Anna is along with her husband Morgan, who I got to meet earlier.
Yeah.
They run a 6-figure business together, and multiple 6-figure business. And they work incredibly hard, but then you play so hard as well.
Yes, extremely hard. Play extremely hard. Yes.
And a couple of weeks ago, I ran a small group program with some women, and one of our days was about play.
Yeah, beautiful.
Because if you don't get to do the play, it's like, what's it for?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not all about working. And that's a beautiful thing that you guys do, and that we get to see and be a part of through fantastic social media.
Yes.
So that's enough for me, and that wasn't really an intro on you, just like how I feel about you. But could you maybe share a little bit about yourself with us? Maybe with the focusing question of what your average day looks like.
Sure, absolutely. So, hi everyone, officially. I always love it. She's like personal development icon, and I just talked about poo, so that's just me. But so a day in the life of I is my husband and I, Morgan, who is a remarkable man and absolutely the other half of the chaos and mayhem that is just my life. But I always wake up super early, so I'm still a 5 a.m. riser. I don't really need to be. I train. That's my ethos of self-love. So every day in any way that I can, this is just the ethos that I live by. I move, I eat, I speak, I think, and I act like I love myself. And that all starts in the front end of my day as well. How I start my day, how you start your day is how you end your day. So I wake up, I go and I move like I love myself. I eat like I love myself. I think like I love myself. So gratitude. I read like I love myself. It's all about filling my own tank, and then really the day begins. So we do run a multiple 6-figure yearly business, which we just love and adore, and the work on that begins. So that could be business calls, it could be getting you beautiful women started on our program, it could be coaching calls, it could be events, it could be a networking event, it could be anything. It's always different, and that's what I love about our life. We travel a lot as well, so we could be in Adelaide in our hotel room doing a live interview, and then always play, absolutely always play. So as an example, we spoke on stage yesterday. We did 2 big presentations to a sold out crowd who were just divine. That's what made me say I fell in love with Adelaide. And then today like I said, we're going on a team building exercise of drinking wine in the Adelaide Hills. But yeah, it's for me, it's about absolutely working hard, and that I also do events now for women about women empowerment and self-love and what that looks like. I can do a lot of speaking events. I can work on our business. I'm a big family girl, but then it is also always connecting back to fun and play, always, because what's the point otherwise? So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you were to imagine yourself maybe when you were like 20, 21, is that, so when you were that was your point in life, like did you envisage that this is how you would be living, this is the person that you would be now? No,
so total vulnerability. 2021, I probably wouldn't have gone to bed yet. I would have still been probably 5 or 6 ecstasy deep. I would have been hating myself. It's funny you actually asked that question, because I was literally in the bathroom getting ready this morning, and I said to Morgan, the greatest gift, I'm like doing my mascara, I said the greatest gift that I've ever given myself was letting go of toxic people and toxic things and toxic everything, and living into this life we live now. And we were literally talking about what our days would have looked like today if we hadn't have made those choices. So 2021, I actually put a status about it. I said, if you had told me even a couple of years ago I would be doing what we're doing today, I would have laughed at you, but probably secretly cried on the inside in severe desperation. But 2021, I was a completely different woman. I said, you know, I base all of my decisions now in love, and back then I based them all on fear, because realistically I hated myself, and I wore so many masks. I had debilitating anxiety that, you know, I was medicated daily. I, you know, self-harmed. I hated myself. I wore a lot of masks, and I was just desperate to fit in, I suppose, and that's what we were talking about. We just were like, I wore all these masks, which I believe is what led to anxiety and led to frustration and led to upset. And slowly but surely I started to change my life. It was absolutely not overnight, and it's always the journey that I'll go on. But I stand in my truth of all of those things and what I did, because I say I own my story, because then I get to write the ending, and no one can put their own stuff on me now, or hold me to almost blackmail or accountability. And, well, you used to do the drugs, and, well, no, you should have seen what she used to be like. It's like, no, that was absolutely me. And I always think, if I stand in my truth, it doesn't allow anyone else to speak my truth and do it wrongly. So that's why I always say people are so scared to change, I feel now, because because they've had that, they've got some dark chapters, or they've done some bad things, but we all have. And that's what I always want people to say. If you stand in that truth and go, yes, I've stuffed up, or yes, I've done drugs, or yes, I've binge drunk, or yes, I self-harmed, and maybe it's not that extreme. Promiscuity. I always talk about how, you know, I was promiscuous, everything. It's like, I've got like the encyclopedias of like dark chapters. But if you stand in your own truth and you own that, then nobody else can. And that's, you know, if I could give any advice to even 21-year-old Anna, it'd just be like, you know, you're going to be okay. Just show up every day in some little way, and slowly but surely you remove the masks and live into your authentic self.
Interview done.
And cut. No.
I love that, owning your story.
Yeah.
Because I think if we're attached to those things and what people expect of our behaviour as well, then it's like, well, if I change, people aren't going to like me, I'll lose those people. But like you said, you got to a point where you were willing to lose those toxic people. Yeah, right? I
had to. I mean, it was great because it was two-pronged. Because I had started to change, they didn't want me. They cut me off, and that's what we were talking about this morning. I said to Morgan, you know, because I remember the day that I was bullied so viciously, and it was online and off, but it all kind of happened in this crescendo of a day, and my best girlfriends had started this blog and done all these things. I mean, there's been a lot that still happened, not them, but other women along the way, but this all happened, and Morgan, this is what I said, so we can tell that part now of the story, but I actually said to Morgan, you know, baby, I'll never forget the day that you looked me in the eye, and I was in the bottom of the shower hysterical because I'd been bullied so viciously, and he said, babe, just remember this day, and I promise you it will be the greatest day of your life one day soon, and that it'll all make sense one day soon, but you know, you've got 1 hour to get up off the bottom of the shower, and it was the greatest day of my life, because it did cut the toxic people from my life. They technically cut themselves from my life. But
there's no decision.
And so it was a gift. And I know, and that's what I said. I said, you know, if I hadn't have got rid of the people that were holding me back, that were wearing their own masks, really, and so we all showed up as these fake versions of ourselves. Then I never would be where I am today, because I'd still be stuck in pleasing them and trying to fit in, and you know, trying to be desperately liked, when all, you know, our purpose in life, I think, is just to be our authentic selves and show up in joy and love. So.
I remember when you shared that story, I can't remember where, on some stage or something.
Somewhere.
And I remember, like, you know, I was very moved, and I think the bit that stood out to me was Morgan.
Yeah.
And how beautiful to have someone that can support you in that way and just pick you up, like love you not despite of your vulnerabilities, but because of them.
Yeah.
And hold the space for you. Be like, okay, you got an hour, you can stay in that self-pity, and then we're getting up. We're moving on. Like, huge kudos to you, Morgan, because...
thanks, baby. He's probably downstairs watching. Yeah.
It's one of those defining moments that's really stayed with you, right? And he had that foresight to be like, you're going to be so grateful for this day in the future.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the people that I work with are really stuck in that spot right now. And it's the fear of moving on or letting go of people or circumstances or things in their life currently is so strong, it's so compelling, that it's it's you get locked down. You're paralyzed by that. So I guess what is your advice to people who are kind of in that point? They know they want to go there. Yeah. They know they want to get out of the whatever they're in now. What's your advice to them?
Yeah, I always say I get it. Like anyone that sits there and says, I'm guilty of this as well, being like, oh well, move on, not get over it, but like just cut it's almost like such an easy thing to say, cut the toxic people. Yeah. But I always say I'll never discredit the how petrifying it can feel, and the vulnerability and the fear and the space that you feel like you're going to get into. But having lived through it many times, my advice is always that yes, it's going to feel like you might lose everybody, or there might be less people in your life, but doing that, just know right to your core, and this is coming from a woman that's had to do it again and again, that the space that you create by cutting those people allows a space, first and foremost, for you to, it's like, I'm reading Brené Brown's Wilderness.
Braving the Wilderness.
Braving the Wilderness at the moment. And she articulated it better than I ever could about true belonging. Yeah. Like, first of all, when you cut them, you have to get real with yourself. It's like, okay, well, who am I? Who am I? Like, how can I show up more for myself? How can I fall in love with who I am, imperfectly perfect self, more than ever? And what happens is this space is created in your life where other people who know who they are attracted in. So when I lost everybody, I felt like everybody. I still have my best friends from high school, Najette, who I just adore, and and as a small group of girlfriends, I still lost everybody else. But I always say it was then that the most remarkable humans came into my life.
Absolutely.
The most remarkable. Absolutely. Because I knew who I was, they knew who they were, and we're best friends today. So
yeah. And that space, like, aside from the people that you can bring in, all of the joy and freedom and creativity, obviously. So that's what I want to ask you about now.
Yeah.
What is your big mission?
Mission. So my mission is to not have a mission. No, I'm kidding. Hey, gorgeous Liv. Yeah, Liv, you're going to love her book. It's phenomenal. But my mission, no, I always laugh and say that. People go, what's your bio? I'm like, my bio is to not have a bio. No, my mission it really is about, I'm not about like, making a big change. My mission every day is just to show up exactly who I am. Always, always, always show up as the best version of me. And in the process, just inspire women. I'm all about women empowerment. But, inspire everybody, but absolutely inspire women to do the same. And so, I always say I just want to love myself so fiercely that when other people are in my presence, they know exactly how it should be done, and it just inspires them to live into their authentic self. And I think that's the piece that so many people get hung up on. It's like they think they have to build the orphanages or have big missions, or they freak out that they don't know their purpose in life yet. You know what? Maybe your purpose in life is just to show up exactly as who you are, take off all the fucking masks, and live into that authentic place of joy and love, and inspire everyone around you. And if today, this is what I always say, if today was my last day on earth, have I loved enough? Have I laughed enough? And have I had fun? And the answers are always yes. Like every single night, it's like, do people know how much like my text messages are like love letters. See, they are like I put XOs on my emails to my accountant, like all of those things, because I just think travel agents, all of that, I'm like, I love you. But that's my mission. My mission is just to live this big, bold, fun life that, if I inspire one person along the way, beautiful. If it mobilizes, 1 million women, fucking awesome. But realistically, it's so when my head hits a pillow every night, have I loved enough? Have I laughed enough? Have I lived enough?
Absolutely.
And the answer is always yes. And in the process, we get to live this kick-ass life. So
yes. And I think that's where the trust with yourself comes. Like when your head does hit that pillow, we're like
pointing at the bed, because the bed, like the pillow is literally right there. Yeah.
That's where the love for yourself comes from, right? Because you trust yourself that no matter what is going on out there, you love yourself, and that's all that matters.
And there's this distinction. I run I have this event, Soulful Sisterhood Sessions, that I run when I feel like it. But this beautiful woman, and I won't say her name, said we did women's circling, and she said something that cut me right to the heart, and it's something that I'm passionate about and want to constantly talk about. Hey, beautiful Ness.
Hi.
And she said that she said, you know, I know how to look after myself, because we get stuck up, like I'm the biggest ambassador for self-love. But she said, you know, I know exactly how to love myself. I know what self-love looks like, the daily rituals. But she said, and then she got emotional and she said, but I don't love myself. And that, I was like, oh, that's my mission. Like that, I was like, because yes, you know, I preach self-love in everything that I do. And, you know, I said at the start of the call, moving, thinking, acting, speaking like I love myself. But that's not just daily rituals. That's not just...
That's the entry point.
That's like self-care. That's one level. But loving yourself is having no masks and showing up authentically and, you know, knowing exactly who that is. So when your head hits the pillow, that's what we're saying. It is that, have I just loved myself enough today? You know, am I okay with my imperfections? Am I okay with my flaws? You know, I'll sit there yesterday. I said, we left, we spoke on stage and it was all fun. And then we went and had a champagne after. And I am exactly who I am on stage, off stage, in a room, online, whatever. And we're sitting there and I'm just super real and we're having all these conversations and I'm a rat bag. But I don't care if you, and I've literally done this. I was in federal parliament and I was still like this. And, hey Farah, this amazing woman made my wedding dress.
Oh, divine!
Farah Couture. Yeah. But yeah, and we left, and I said, Morgs, I don't think some of them were expecting that conversation. Like, I was like, poor things, but I don't fucking care.
That's
like,
how real you are.
And that's how you've got it. That's when I don't know, that's the true power, because it's okay. You're not for everybody, you're for some people. And they're the some people that you want to find. And I think that's where you living into your purpose and you live in your mission comes from, because you're not for all, you're for some, and finding those some is when the magic happens. I think.
Absolutely. And the any of the other people that you're not for, that doesn't matter. That really doesn't matter.
No.
Because they're not there with you on your pillow at the end of the night.
Yeah.
You know, that's you, and in the silence, just with you and your thoughts. What's happening then? What's going on then?
Yeah.
And I think that's your measuring stick
100%.
for how your days go. We talk a lot about this finding your purpose thing, and how there's a lot of fear around that, and it's like, well, I'm 30 and I don't know what my purpose is, and I should have found it by now, and if you found your purpose, then you're done for life, mic drop, you know. And what you just said then is so beautiful, because it's a daily showing up. It's
like, let this be your permission slip if you're watching and you're like whatever age you are, and maybe you're young, and maybe you feel like you found your purpose, and like, fuck, kudos. But for me, I always just think, this is your permission slip to stop freaking out about it. Like, honestly, maybe your purpose is to show up so beautifully every single day in your family and be such an amazing mum that you impact your family, which impacts your community, which ultimately impacts the world. Like, what a beautiful purpose, right? It doesn't have to be this big thing about, I don't know, having following online, or like I always say, orphanages, because it's a big one, but like building orphanages, and maybe it is, and that's beautiful too, but I'm just giving you the permission slip to know that, to me, your purpose is just to show up for yourself, by yourself every single day, and belong to yourself. That ultimately, when you can walk out the door, or meet a CEO, or meet the Prime Minister, or you know, get on a knee to feed the homeless, you are the same person. And
Amen.
And in that regard, you get to live into your purpose, because that's the joy, that's the love, that's the passion, that's everything.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Let that be your purpose. Like, just who are you? Figure that out. And
that's your purpose.
That's your purpose. Like, just taking off the masks and being like, well, fuck, who am I? Like, who do I want to be? How does that feel? What does that look like? And move from that space. And I'm telling you right now, like, your purpose will come, because that is your purpose, but even more fun and joy will come from that, because this whole ethos of self-love that I preach about so much really came from, which, you know, it's not my purpose. My purpose is just to be who I am. But, you know, being able to speak on that came from me removing the masks, beg your pardon, sorry, removing the masks and living into my true self. And then, funnily enough, this message came up over and over and over again for me on self-love. But, you know, is that my mission? No, my mission is just to be who I am and allow that fun and joy and magic to come.
It's funny, because what my next question really links into that. So the other thing we talk about a lot, well, I talk about a lot, I assume people are listening, is about inner voice.
Yes.
So no matter how you think about that, whether it's inner voice, gut instinct, you know, that thing in you. And I want to ask you how important that's been for you in your journey.
Yeah, huge. So my inner voice, I'm just like propping myself back up on my little pillow. No, inner voice is big, and I think that it's probably what led me to all of the decisions that I've made in terms of changing to move into who I was. But it's something I think that I read a lot of books, and it gets brought up a lot. And I know Gabrielle Bernstein does a phenomenal job. That's really where I first learned about this, or ego versus love. That's her understand, or you know,
fear, love.
And I think for me, recognizing a lot of the decisions I was making were based on ego or fear, and moving into love. And love to me is that inner voice. So now when I tune in and listen in, it's easy for me. But in the beginning it was like, well, am I choosing, this was my North Star, about listening to my inner voice. You know, am I making this decision because I'm scared, or am I making this decision from love? And for me, you know, again, I think it's something that women can get very stuck on with the purpose thing. It's big on like, well, fuck, I don't know. Where is it? Like, what does she sound like? Like, am I meant to hear it? I don't know. So I think I always say to like women, don't get stuck on that. Like, you know, it might not be a loud bang. It could just be a gentle knocking, but for me, it was like, I knew, it's that knowing. It's like, I know what I should be doing. I know I should, it could even be like, I know I shouldn't be doing this. That's the inner voice. And to me, that was the constant North Star, but it was so slow. Like, understand that it was my journey, and I'll be on it forever. Like, I will be on my journey forever. There's no arrival. The whole point of life is the journey. There's no destination. And so, but listening, connecting more and more and more to her, and, you know, my inner voice and my soul, and listening to all of that, absolutely allowed me to slowly and surely peel off the mask. Because it is about falling back, you know, listening to yourself, trusting yourself, knowing thyself, and then living into who that is.
So for people that are having that question, like, where is that inner voice? How do I turn it on? What would you encourage them, or what advice would you give them to start on that journey? Like, to start listening, even the tiniest.
I think that it's just about finding this. I think it's about, I know a lot, I always speak to the women, I speak to the woman that I was. So in the sense of like the really broken one. So if and then there's varying degrees of that. So now some women will listen and go, well, I meditate and I find it in that, and that's beautiful. But if you had told me to meditate years ago, I would have told you to, like, it's not appropriate for Facebook Live. I wouldn't have even known what that probably was. So for me, though, it was about, I hated being by myself. I hated, it was like I was scared to listen. I was scared.
Because you knew what it would say.
Yeah, I was scared to be by myself. So if you're at that level like I was, I always say, like, just lean into that a little more. Like, you know, take 2 extra minutes in the shower and just ask yourself, well, if I could live into exactly who I want to be today, who is that woman? What does she look like? What does she sound like? How does she walk? And even if it's 2 minutes. Now, and listen, just see what comes up, because you'll know. It's not like you'll hear something necessarily, but you'll go, I know what I should be doing. I should be doing this, or I shouldn't be doing that. That's just as powerful. And then if you're at like a higher level, you know what it's like, meditate more, sit in that silence, you know, sit with your self-love practices, whatever that is, and it will tune in. I do a lot of journaling as well. I find journaling for me is a really powerful way to tune in, because this, like, the sacredness for me of pen to paper will never be underestimated. So I chat a lot with myself in journal. That's where a lot of clarity, and if I'm stuck on making a decision, writing for me, it will always bring it up.
And I have to say, because I do a lot of writing as well, looking back at my diaries from like a couple of years ago, what a beautiful way to reflect. And that's another question I want to ask you a bit later as well, on how to stay present as well. But you just mentioned it's a journey. And it's never going to end.
No.
So you are a very confident person now. Has it always been like that? And what are some of the things you've had to tackle? I'm making an assumption there.
No, absolutely. No, I have. No.
What are the biggest challenges you've faced in going from 21-year-old Anna to now, and being fully yourself? Like, what are your big challenges there?
what were my challenges? Okay, so I absolutely have not always been this way. There's just no way. And I have to say, if I was really honest, I know that federal politics did teach me a lot. So there was two things. I want to talk about two things. So, and it sounds bananas knowing who I am today, but the biggest thing that I used to that held me back was always my age and my sex. So I would always apologize for being young, and I would always apologize for being a fucking woman. I would say, I know I'm a woman and I know I'm young, but... Yeah. And I'll never forget, and so I didn't feel worthy to be in a lot of rooms, or I didn't feel worthy to go up to certain people and shake their hand and say hello, or I didn't feel worthy to present ideas to the world, and I didn't feel worthy to go to events. I didn't feel, I absolutely was at that level, and it was actually one of my, and I just adore him, but it was my old boss. And, you know, this was a big thing for me, but he said, stop fucking apologizing and just know how, your worth, Dr. Dennis Jensen. And he said, you deserve to be in any room or at any event or look anybody in the eye and shake anybody's hand and show up in that way. So and I did. And so I remember that was in federal politics. And so that was where it started, because it's such a man's world and I was young.
How interesting that you started your self-worth journey in politics.
Just honestly, and that's relative for you, because if you're right now in a job, or which is what everybody does, we're all working on something in some way, or if you want to start a business and you're not going to networking events because it scares the bananas out of you, you know, I was there, that's where I was, but it was no, I'm worthy to have a voice, I'm worthy to speak up, I'm worthy to look people in the eye and introduce myself. And PK, one of my best friends, always says it's courage before confidence, and it's so true. Even today, it's not always that I'm confident, but I have courage, always. Yeah. And, you know, that's what I've been doing even before I knew what I was doing. It was just having the courage to show up. It was having the courage to walk into a room. It was having the courage to speak up. It was having the courage to press post. It was having the courage to send the email. It was whatever it was. And, you know, through that, I suppose my worth, I just grew with that. But my challenges were, God, I just never felt worthy. I would always apologize for being young. I'd always apologize for being a woman, which is stupid. But yeah, and I honestly thought it was but that will hold me back. So I always say I've been at the bottom and just slowly, and still, you know, today I still absolutely get nervous and I get scared, and I have all those normal feelings, but I have the courage to take the next step, and
feel the fear and do it anyway.
Feel the fear and do it anyway. I love putting myself in uncomfortable, fall in love with the uncomfortable, and that's just a story. You can be like, I could never do that. Well, that's the story you're telling yourself, so of course you'll never be able to do it. So yeah.
And how powerful, because those stories, those things that we believe without even really consciously knowing what they are, they can really hold us back.
Well, they're the thing holding everybody back. Yeah, absolutely. No, stories that, you know, my story was that, I had so many stories, but the biggest one for me was that, well, what's the point? You know, I drank and I did drugs, and I still have my scars from self-harm, and I gave myself away because I was always like, well, what's the point? You know, so much had happened to me when I was a child, and it was always like, well, who cares? What's the point? That was my story that I relayed over and over and over. And from that, multiple other stories were created, like I'm not worthy, and I'm a ton of stories. So, and slowly but surely I just changed my stories. Well, no, hang on a minute, I am worthy. Najette, that's my best friend. Oh, boom, congrats, like a book. Oh, hey girl. But it was just always having, I forget what I was saying because Najette jumped on. I'm so excited.
The story,
but yeah, and I just had to change the story, and still today I have to change the story. You know, starting Soulful Sisterhood Sessions. Yeah, I always say I didn't feel ready. It was like, who do I think I am to do that? But it was having that courage before confidence, and then it was changing my story that no, hey, I do have a voice, and even if I can impact one person, then beautiful.
That's great.
So it's just changing those stories every single day.
And I just want to touch on that, because for someone like me, looking at someone like you, even though we're sisters, we're the same.
Yes, sisters.
When I hear that you have fear around running an event like that, it's very humbling. Yeah. So, like, it really, you know, because I idolize you, and you really inspire me.
Nick. Don't, I'll cry, and then will just not cry.
That's where I'm at, you know, having the courage to do those things, and I really want to serve, and it's so inspiring to see you be like, that's still hard for me.
It's so hard.
I just roll into these things, like, so just choose courage.
You please do. Please choose the courage, because the day that I hit post on the tickets for that, I cried.
Oh.
I cried my eyes out. I cried, pressed publish, and I burst into tears, and I said, you know, probably nobody's going to come, and why am I doing this? And I ran out of the office, and Morgan was like, it'll be okay. Like, you'll be fine. And then I drove to my mum's, and I had a cup of tea, and I was like, I don't even want to look, like, I don't even want to talk about it, like, and all the rest of it. And I checked back in, and it had sold out within 27 hours. So, imagine, so use that, imagine, and all of you, like, imagine if you're stopping yourself from asking the boy on the day, or saying yes to the job, or starting the business, or starting a coaching practice, or starting a blog, or whatever it is for you, because you think that you're not worthy of it, or no one will read it, or no one will listen, or doing a Facebook Live, whatever it is, starting an event. Like, there are people that need to hear your stories and need to...
And from you, you're the person for that person.
And I always think if I hadn't started that, then if I hadn't had the courage, because I had no confidence, even 2 months ago, then I wouldn't be where I am even right now. So
and how beautiful, again, it's just that journey. It's you know, and we always talk about mini leaps. Like a tiny little leap. That's how all of this starts. It's like one little leap to have the idea, one little leap to brainstorm it, one little leap to press the post. Like, it's all one little step at a time. And it's not like you wake up overnight and you're, you know, a millionaire. That's not how it works.
Nah, never.
And that's super encouraging, because anybody can do a small little mini leap.
And it's funny, because I've always said, because this is how I've had to live my life, that it really is 10 seconds of wild courage. It. It's 10 seconds. So, and 3, 2, 1. Like, but then my yoga teacher in practice, like last week, said, just to push. She's like, push in a pose. And she said, it just takes 3 seconds of wild courage.
Oh, wow.
And I went, oh, I like that much better. So that's my new thing. It's just 3 seconds, because 10 seconds, you can talk yourself out of it.
Totally.
Absolutely. And she said, just 3 seconds. And I did. I went deeper in the pose. I pushed myself. And I went, I'm taking this into every area of my life. Just 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1, whatever it is.
That's when you make the decision. That's how long it takes to make a decision. And then it's done. And then you commit to it.
Press live. Like, you'll get sweaty. Like, you're still going to get nervous. Like, no, just have the courage, because you matter. That's you. Like, that's the thing that I always say to people, like, it's no coincidence that you were born on this planet in this particular time of revolutionary shift. Like, the world needs you and is asking for your story and your power, and for you to step forth, no matter what that is, even if it is to be the most remarkable mother in the world. Beautiful. But the world is asking more of all of us, and we all need to step forward and level up, essentially, and we can only do that through having courage.
Absolutely.
And, you know, you're never going to have the confidence. And if you do, like, I'd love to meet you. I'll take you for a champagne. But it's courage first, always. 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go.
I love it. And what did you say? Have courage because you matter.
You matter. You so matter.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, if there was one thing in your personal development work that you've done, I know that's going to be hard.
I'm like, oh shit, okay, I'm thinking.
One thing that has delivered you the biggest results in terms of learning to love yourself.
What would it be? Such a good question. I suppose the thing for me is, I think it's that focus on no mask. It's something that I'm very big on at the moment. In that, you know, yes, the books are amazing, and every book is amazing. Read more, listen to more, show up more. Absolutely, do all those things, and it's a daily commitment for me. But I think we all need to start talking about who we are more, and that whole thing of purpose. And for me, it was just the consistency. Actually, I want to say, let's say, because if I had to say it, if I had to nut it down. It was consistency. So every day, even when I still felt like shit, or I got another hater, or, you know, another friend dropped me because they didn't understand my journey, or, you know, Morgs and I bickered over whatever it was, or our business got stuck, which is we all go through this. It was still that commitment to showing up no matter what and taking off another mask, or how can I lean into my vulnerability more? How can I lean into my truth more? How can I lean into who I am more? And it was the consistency of just asking myself those questions. And on days when I didn't feel like it, and on days where I thought that, fuck it, you know, put it in the fuck it bucket. Yeah. I hope I'm like, not that I care. I'm like, I hope your audience doesn't mind saying mine's used to it. But it all just, you know, it's that consistency that every single day in some tiny way, how can you lean into your vulnerability more? Or I'll say, so it was like, how can I lean into my vulnerability more? How can I lean into my truth more? How can I lean into, you know, showing up more for myself and working out who I am? You know, now, honestly, I always say you could put me, and I have been, in the room with the Prime Minister, or on the street with the homeless, and I still am exactly who I am. That just doesn't change. And, you know, if the Prime Minister doesn't like the word fuck, that's okay. Like, that's just his problem.
Totally okay.
He does, though. No. But, you know, that's okay. And I'm not everybody's, but I'm my own. And true belonging for me is just that. Like, I can, when my head hits the pillow, I have myself, and I'm just so proud of her, and I just love her so much.
And that's what matters. That's the stuff that matters, not what other people think about you or make passing comments or judgments about. And the stronger you become in yourself, tell me if you agree, the less it matters, the less you even hear that stuff.
Yeah. No, and I think everyone's so scared of what other people think, but everybody, and this was actually really, really big for me. It was actually Don Miguel. If you haven't read The 4 Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz, and in it he talked about how everyone could go into a different cinema, and it could be the exact same scene. So say you were watching your dinner table, like the family dinner table, I think that's what he used, but except every family member had a different cinema. And if they went into their own cinema, it would be a completely different scene. Yeah. Like, things would sound different, things would look different. And that's when I really adopted this, well, it's your stuff, it's not mine. Or it's your opinion, it's not mine. Or it's, you know, now if people go, oh, I don't like this or I don't like that, I'm like, that's beautiful, because that's your experiences and your belief, but it's not mine. But I don't judge you, I still love you where you're at. But that's okay. We don't have to be people. Yeah. But so many people are addicted to almost being liked. And social media is a big one to blame for that, because everyone wants to be an influencer, which I hate that word. Yeah, I hate that word. Like, I don't hate anything. I hate that word. Because I just think, you know, you're an influencer in your...
Exactly.
God. You matter, and you're an influencer because you're a human being having a human experience trying to do your best. So you are an influencer. Yeah. And if you got that it doesn't matter about the likes and the following and online and off who likes you, then that's true freedom, I think. Yeah.
Beautiful. I promised before I would ask about how you get present. Yes. Because even just from watching Anna from the outside, like, super busy lifestyle, right? How do you slow down and take stock of what it is that you, I guess, are doing with your life, what you've achieved? How do you?
Yes. So mine is stillness, which sounds crazy to some people, but it is, for me. Yoga has changed my life. So we always say yoga was a really fundamental thing when I was 21 that changed my life. And so that is still a big thing for me. So stillness and presence for me. And sometimes when I do have a 17-hour day, which is my choice and I love it. Choice. So good. It's my choice and I love it. You know, I'll force myself to go do an hour's hot yoga or an hour's yoga practice, because that can be my hour that I'm present. So sometimes it does have to be movement for me. It actually has to be. Some people can sit in meditation for 45 minutes to an hour, and that's beautiful, and that's how they get present. And I encourage that always. Absolutely, stillness in the morning. Because how you start your day is how you end it. But for me, it is about, sometimes it can be movement. It can actually just be a walk, or it can be meditation, or it can be a hot yoga practice, or it can be sitting with my gratitudes, and always at the end of the day, writing my lesson of the day. Yeah. So what did I learn today? Yeah. So it's always different for me. There's no, and that's, I love to say this as well. People, again, around this self-love and self-rituals, I think people get addicted to, not addicted, but they think it has to always look the same way. Like stillness, right? Presence. So I could say meditation and yoga.
Yeah.
And then someone goes, okay, I like that. That feels good for me. I can do that. And they might start to incorporate it, and then it becomes a chore.
Yeah.
That's not your thing.
Yeah.
Like, it could be a walk in nature. It could be gratitude writing. It could be stillness. I've got a beautiful girlfriend who, Kel, who, you know, for her, it's about no sound, no noise, and just quiet.
Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful? Right? And like the stillness, that's enough. So for me though, it is, movement is big for me. So funnily enough, so it is a walk by myself. And no, I don't run. Running is a big one for me as well. But I don't run with podcasts or anything. It's just me. So it's movement is really big in my life. So stillness for me and presence for me is, you know, running or yoga or gratitude writing or.
I think what's gorgeous, what you said just then, is that it has to be for you.
Yeah.
Like trying to fit your morning practice or your daily practice to somebody else's, like it really doesn't serve. It's whatever feels good to you.
Yeah.
And you gave lots of options there.
Yeah, and always let it change. Like I say, some days, you know, it is hot yoga, some days it's a run, some days it's gratitude writing, some days it's not. Some days it's meditation, some days it's not. Like, but I don't ever get attached to the I don't get attached to anything. It's just like, today it feels great that I'm going to go for a run, and tomorrow it could be that I sit in my car and listen to loud music, like whatever it is for me. Like, and I love doing that, by the way. Like Morgan will be like, oh, like peer out, and he's like the top window, and because he'll be like, where are you? And I won't get it because I'm in the car listening to loud music. And I'm in the car listening to loud music. It's a decompression for me. So, and
because it's in a bubble as well. And the sound doesn't get out or in. Yeah, I love it. One more question. I know that the wine tour is lingering. It's right there.
Yeah.
So lots of the women that I know at the moment are 29, 30, 31. And that's
me too. Yeah.
And the thing is, they know they want more than what's in their life at the moment, but they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to go about it.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to them?
My beautiful question, and an amazing one to end on, and it is about just identifying who you are. And who you are is exactly who you are right now in this moment, whatever that looks like, however that sounds, whatever, you know, however you walk, however you talk, that's who you are. Now, if you want more from that, well, how can you lean into that more? How can you lean into that vulnerability more? How can you lean into your truth more? How can you lean into your silliness more? How can you lean into your serious more? Whatever that is for you, if you want more, it will come when you do take those masks off and you just stand in that truth, when you stand in exactly who you are. And that's where that practice, you know, you accidentally will almost, you know, you find your purpose and you find your mission when you are who you are, and you're like, well, fuck, this is my story. This is my voice. This is who I am. I want to help women with this, or I want to help men with this, or I want to help young people with this, or I want to serve older people with this, whatever it is. But you will be more when you are more for yourself first. You know, you're not for everybody, you are for yourself. And when you figure that out, and that's a process and a journey, but every single day in some little way, how can you show up for yourself more? Yeah. How can you take off a mask a little more? How can you be in conversation and be true to yourself a little more? How can you raise your truth online a little more? And if you can just lean into those things a little more every single day, then you will step into more of yourself and be able to offer more of yourself to the world. But it's not becoming so fixated on this, fuck, I'm 30 and I don't have a purpose and I don't even know what I want to do, or, hey, honey.
Hey.
The husband just got back. Everyone meet my amazing Morty there. But it's just about leaning into that more and more and more, and just not freaking out, never comparing, and you're always going to. And it's just the truth. You know, I love to just speak that, because it's like, don't compare, and then I'm always like, don't compare, and then you compare and you think, oh, well, shit, I've compared, I suck at this, I'm done. We all are still going to compare, it's innate. But if don't get stuck in it, and you just know that you matter, and you were born on this planet at this moment in time for such a beautiful reason. It doesn't need to be big. It's big because you're here. And just recognizing like that thing of you matter, you have a voice, you do. And the world needs you to step into you more. That's all it's asking of you. How can you show up in your truth more, your vulnerability more, your authenticity more, your power, and in the process you get to live this big, beautiful, bold life. And that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. Yay!
Thank you, beautiful Anna.
You're so welcome.
This has been really gorgeous. And I love you all. We love you all.
We love you!
Have a beautiful Sunday. Let's keep connecting. That's what this is all about. This is a connection. It's the only reason we're here is to connect with each other. And thank you so much for being here. Love you.
Love you! Bye.